how does global trade compliance impact overall operations?
Compliance issues can cause delays. They can cause disruptions and inefficiencies within the business. And so the impact on the overall operations and the flow of goods can definitely be impacted by compliance issues. Problems sometimes originate outside of operations, but it affects the execution at the end of the day. If there's a major customs delay, that can cause huge impacts to the business on throughput and their cost of goods can be impacted by that additional time and constraints. And on the export side, there can also be huge impacts to the client and client satisfaction if there's delays caused due to inefficiencies in the compliance process.
So where do operations leaders typically face challenges?
I think its visibility is one of the key issues. Being able to see where the goods are at any given time, what those compliance risks might be, and being able to proactively manage them is always really helpful. There may be inconsistent processes across teams that will drive those type of challenges. So if one business is operating one way and another is operating a different way, the operational impacts can cause challenges for those, collectively across all those organizations. And I think one of the other areas is just a lack of data, lack of metrics, lack of KPIs around trade compliance that just exposes operational risk and they just don't even know it's there.
So what helps reduce disruption and improve operational performance?
Standardized processes is always a good way to alleviate a lot of that risk by having an established policy and documented procedures of how compliance is going to operate and then what the impacts will be on the business. Knowing that in advance, documenting in advance is the best way to address a lot of those risks. And getting alignment between the teams. If your chief operations officer and your chief compliance officer or your logistics compliance teams are not working together, these risks can just exacerbate. And so having that cooperative activity is always a really great place to start. And then engaging with the team as early as possible. Sometimes operational teams make significant changes or decisions. I know years ago we had an organization I was with. They were closing some of their U.S. facilities and moving some of that activity to Mexico, and they didn't account for all the compliance issues related to Mexico and getting goods back and forth across the border. It actually caused a lot more heartache than they had hoped for. Wow. Had there been early engagement, they could have cleared a lot of that up early on as opposed to waiting until it was a problem in the tail end.